Yes, legends, happy Monday. Let's analyze the situation for the price of Bitcoin. Getting a little bit of a pump today. We'll analyze this pump, the structure, and what is going on, guys. Much love to everybody. Smash up the like button if you do enjoy the content. And let's dive in straight into the charts. Of course, first of all, we're going to say hello to the beautiful community, okay? So let's go with that. Much love to everybody. Hello. We are pumping. We have been pumping throughout the last few hours. Is this pump legit? Is it a bull trap? We are coming into some major resistance zones. We are sweeping up the lower highs of the downtrend that we formed throughout Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is a very expected sweep. Very expected sweep. We are hitting resistance, which is the value area high of the entire range. We can already see the reactions, okay? At that value area high. Of course, the point of control did get a small little bounce last Thursday. That was okay. Back to the value area high. Fake dump of the point of control of the entire range. However, we did have the Bybit point of control also on Binance. I like volume profile on these future exchanges, especially the high volume ones such as Binance, Bybit. We actually dipped below and we got the pump throughout today. This pump was expected. Nothing is unexpected here. We do give a few scenarios. It was one of the main plans, of course, coming into that point of control of Binance and Bybit, okay, to get below $68,000. You can see the drawing here, potentially form an impulse, down, finish of wave 5, get that dip below throughout the weekend, and potentially pump either Sunday evening or Monday morning. Is the preferred days, of course. That's when the markets start to open and we get a bit of volatility. Matter of fact, we did get that pump here to sweep up those highs, right, that we did have. So it was something that was very much expected based on the probabilities. We got very good support at 68k, the low 67k levels. We also had a point of control right there from a mini range, this one right over here. And we had a plan, of course, inside of the trading community. We did have a plan because that's what it's all about. We create these plans to look for successful trading setups. We did mention this on Friday, of course, of the possibilities for anybody that's not inside of the trading community. Throughout the weekend, inside of the trading community, we were planning this, all right, throughout the weekend. Very important. We gave a few options. One of the options, of course, looking at elite wave theory, different scenarios. Dip below 68k. Once we reclaim it, look for the movement up to the 71, 72k region. Regardless if the impulse is going to continue, gets a little bit more dippy. We're giving the possible setups that we are looking for, explaining the risk management and what needs to be done here, right? What needs to happen on the chart, because that's what we explained on Sunday. Bitcoin lost 68k for the moment. That's when we dipped below $68,000. This was yesterday, Sunday. No longs for the moment, okay? Would need to see a reclaim above 68k. This message was from yesterday, just to go through the overview of this scenario. Of course, we had the point of control from Bybit. That's the one that was, the legit one that we had to look for, all right? And on Sunday, as soon as we got that dump, we can see the low that was created. So the message was sent here, right? We're dipping below the point of control. No longs interesting here till we actually reclaim. Now, the reclaim wasn't extremely successful. Now, we did get back above, but this gives you the trigger. The trigger is as soon as you get above that point of control, your stop loss naturally comes below the wick of the fake out. We did get a little bit of cheeky choppiness, but if stop loss is beneath that low and we are targeting above 71k region, then this was the main setup that was explained. I know some people might think that, well, this was because of the message that we got from Mr. Orange Man himself, right? Donald J. Trump, that, a lot of people are pointing out that, the nice little reaction pump was based on this message, right? Which I'm not going to read out loud. And well, we can arguably discuss that. Yeah, this helped maybe with the pump, but it was a plan that was created already throughout Friday and also throughout the weekend to get this rally. Just wanted to point that out, okay? If you are interested to get the updates, the guidance, what myself and Devil are doing, I'm not sure what is taking so long for you to join the trading community. Super simple to join, guys. You'll get a few months for free if you only sign up throughout one of the affiliates, do a minimum deposit and trade for yourself. That said, of course, we need to talk about the disclaimer, right? That this content is for only educational purposes, right? Only and is not financial advice. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate or complete. Always conduct your own research before making any financial decisions. We are just traders on ourselves, Devil, myself, and we are also educators. We like to educate a lot on risk management. I think there's a lack of risk management and trade execution and trade management, okay, inside of the technical analysis trader world, right? On YouTube, there's a lot of technical analysts, right? They have their own opinions, such as myself, but we really like to talk about trade execution and risk management, which is that cherry on top, which a lot of traders need out there. Okay, said that, let's go through the comment section. We're going to break down a few of the scenarios. We are eventually hitting resistance. All right, just to point out here, it is the value area high. It is the value area high. This has the possibility of being an impulse, okay? And we do have a lot of resistance, which the price is struggling at the moment here at the 71.4K, right? We can see it on the chart. Value area high of the entire range of the last 6-7 weeks. This is from the start of February. So big resistance here. I can see Devil already inside of the trading community talking about the short, you know, being a bit of a sniper. I have to give a shout out here to Devil about getting into this trade, because today he's basically in the community. Okay, we'll dive in through the scenarios right now, guys. Bear with me here. All right, but this is fun, right? We are active also in the side of the trading community, not only on YouTube. Weekends are going to be slow on YouTube. But yes, Devil himself looking for that perfect execution, like trying to spot after the impulse, that 4-5 scenario, right, where you have an impulsive move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5 creates that very, very classic double top reaction, right, from your wave 3 high volume. And look, you know, catching the Pico top here on this short here inside of the trading community, right, taking a trade up here. And yeah, it's just absolutely beautiful, right? Because we are technical traders. We execute and we talk about the analysis, risk management. These are planned trades. They are not random trades, okay? So anyway, let's go through the comment section. Hope you're having a great Monday, guys. I'm having a great Monday. I had a great weekend. Hope you have as well. You've recharged your batteries for the trading week, and we're going to break down a little bit of the analysis. It's beautiful. We are successful traders. We do a great job. We do a great job at educating. We do a great job at, you know, analyzing and executing and giving that, you know, risk management and trade management support for the community. Yo legend, Market M. All right, enough about bragging about the community and the setups that we talk about. It's time to give a bit of love to the people here on YouTube. A Trader, how are you doing, my man? Hope you're doing great. Thank you very much for joining and giving support as always. A Trader here, giving the love and power. Absolutely love it. Hope you're doing great, man. Archie, Lottie, Andy is a Holy Spirit trader and Devil is the Holy Ghost. Just joking, guys. Much love, my man. A Trader, thank you very much. Legend, smash up the like button. Chi-Chan, thank you. A Trader. Hello, Andy. I literally missed you. I missed you too, Chi-Chan. Hope you're doing good. On its popcorn ready. Get your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, or whatever you're drinking, and stay tuned, guys. This is going to be a nice one. We're going to explain a little bit of a higher time frame, a bit of the range here, and of course, discussing, you know, what can we look for next, right? You know, I like to be a little bit more bearish, guys. I am feeling the bearish pressure. Apparently, this post was not true, right? We can see back down and all of this. Don't want to go really through this too much, guys, but it's like good news into bad news, right? I don't know, guys. You know, this pump doesn't look very legit, especially with this structure and this movement to the downside. That does look better as an impulse, but there are bullish scenarios. There are bullish scenarios that can take out $76,000, and we just need to talk about them, right? When I am, I know the bearish scenarios. Preferably, of course, we look for a lower high here. There's no more to it, right? Coming into resistance, we got resistance levels. We are hitting the first major resistance, which is the valley area high of the entire range. And if this is broken, then, we got a bit of a fair value gap. It's going to be a little bit of a tricky one. There's some SFP levels. We're going to give a little bit of the breakdown here on the trade execution, of course. And these are bigger trades, right? I know there's a lot of people that like to talk about scalping, right? And there's other channels that do it, relatively good. We mainly talk about the slightly bigger moves, $2,000, $3,000, right? $4,000 moves, okay? And this was one that we were planning throughout Friday and the weekend, right? This pump over here to sweep up the lower highs. I'm not sure if you guys remember from that stream on Friday, where if we are analyzing this to be a impulsive move, where from this high, you have this, the small little movements in your wave 1s and 2s, and then you get the breakdown, high volume, and then you get your cheeky 4-5s. I was skeptical about the low being in here for that impulse to get a larger corrective structure, and that we could claim the low again. I was very much planned that, we could actually roll down from here regardless, right? However, we do move down, from Friday. And very much kind of, I don't like this low. And we could have actually another larger 4 and 5 to the downside here, which was an option. An ABC flat is also the option. Okay, ABC flat is an option as well. They both fit in nicely. But what we explain is, this is literally a setup. When you have a high volume move down after a few 1-2s, wave 3, right, a few 4-5s, you would arguably discuss, it is very, very common to sweep up the 4th wave levels, right? Kind of almost getting to the lower part of the fair value gap is actually a quite common thing when you finish an impulse, right? This is why we did, just out of education here, we like to explain the setup, right? We were talking about this long position potentially coming into Sunday, Monday, that actually couldn't get that bounce all the way up to, above 70K, 71K-ish zone, right? Sweep up the lower highs basically from that wave 4. And we like to give that explanation. This was the same thing was explained on Friday, right? That after an impulsive move, if we can detect that we have a 3 and then, looking for a 4-5, what is common after an impulse is for that ABC flat, right? zigzag, to get down below the 4th wave, right? Sweeping up the 4th wave after an impulse is very, very common, right? In this case, to the downside, right? This is basically it, right? If you can detect that wave 3, which is large and powerful, the last little momentum, once you can spot a good level of resistance in this case, coming down to the wave 4 is your main target zone, right? If you're looking to short that 5th wave, which was the case right over here based on this explanation, right, that was given also here on Friday, and giving a little bit of more guidance in the community throughout the weekend. Quick hello to the beautiful legends, and we'll dive in right away through the analysis. Okay, I want to explain a little bit of the range. There's no quick trades where we are at the moment. Of course, you have these SFP levels, or detecting the internal possible 4 and 5, right? Regardless, if we do create another one, which could be the possibility, a new short trade can be mentioned in today's stream. Okay, maybe this is not the high. Okay, maybe it's not the high. So we'll explain that if we do get that momentum to the upside. We're going to be analyzing this pump, okay, and then give a little bit of the trading setups that I am looking for, sharing with you here on YouTube, with the possibility that the high is in as well, okay? I have to say, there is a chance that the high could be in here, in that ABC flat, okay? Much love to everybody. Thanks for joining. If you do enjoy the education, we do, prove what we talk about. Sometimes it doesn't always play out, guys, right? I'm always happy to say, guys, what we mentioned yesterday, we did something completely different, right? But if we talk about the setup and the stop loss, well, hopefully, you know, it's just a little scratch, right? So, but we like to prove it. There's no sugarcoating here, guys, okay? There's nothing worse in the trading and the crypto YouTube space where there's a lot of sugarcoating, guys, and we like to avoid that, right? We want to avoid that because we need more transparency, of course, here in the trading crypto space. Much love. Path Maria Vallejos, much love. Thank you, Milo. Andy, the man, is back 74k short. I'm not sure if we'll reach 74, but there is a very good level at 74k. That would be interesting. We'll talk about the bullish case. We'll talk about the bearish case and where we have some trading opportunities that I see, of course, my opinion. No financial advice, as you know. And get some plans ready, guys, because it's Monday. And inside of the community, of course, there's already been some movements. And we'll break down something, okay, on today's YouTube live stream. First of all, of course, let's go through in the comment section because I'm very bad at this. Victor, 77.7k inbound. Wouldn't be too sure. There is a bullish case that we could get above 76k. It doesn't look great though. It really does not look great. Hello, Andy. How are you? Axikuno, I'm doing great. Hope you're doing well. Redhead. We might be all wrong and only now it starts of wave 3. We might be all wrong. Yeah, maybe. But it's, if I have to say, if you're in this long position, it's okay to have some open. I have some open. It's always good to have some open for the bullish case, and it's always good for a head short, right? Leave some open. That's what I like to do. We obviously teach this as well. Take profits, leave 30%, maybe 40% open, right? As you wish. Maybe take all of the profits. It really depends. But I always like to leave a little chunk open to catch maybe that swing trade. So regardless, if we were to be bullish and we move up to 77k, right, in the next few days, I'm going to be in a long position. So, it's always nice to leave some open here. But we are at a shorting zone, I have to say. This zone that with this pump, it's more of a shorting zone, especially with that pump with high volume. It is very, very common, right, to see that green candle, the most explosive one after a 1-2 or a couple of 1-2s here, 3, 4, 5. Naturally after, taking out the highs with the high volume, it's the failure point. When you have a big candle, when you have a shallow correction, the next pump that takes out the big candle pump, right, high, it's a failure point. Sometimes it could be a regular fifth wave. It kind of double tops. Sometimes it could be an expanding fifth wave, and it gets to other resistance levels where you want to, look for the short trade or the reaction, basically. But it's devil already with the sniper, right, on that potential wave 5. Shout out to Devil. I think he is in the comment section here. I think I did see his name here somewhere. Much love, Devil. Thanks for joining the stream. The legend is live. Devil's been live this morning. Already getting into that cheeky short, we would say, right? It's a bit of a sniper short, but very, very planned. It's an execution, very planned, a good risk management execution by Devil himself inside of the trading community. Just tap the like, Devil. Much love. Devil's been out throughout the weekend fishing. Hope he's had a fantastic time and his batteries are basically recovered, right, for this massive trading week, which is already starting good for the man himself. What is the blue line? Watching on mobile, can't see. Okay, sorry, my bad. What blue line? Sorry. Blue line. Yeah, value area high maybe, or value area low. Value area high of the entire range. Okay, enough comment section, guys, because I know a lot of people are eager to know what is my take on everything, right? It's impossible not to brag about the Legends community, says Path Maria Vallejos. What an awesome comment. It's impossible not to brag, right? Because if we keep quiet, then it's like, well, show me proof. Next is going to be track record and all of that stuff, right? That is obviously something that people want to start seeing. But anyway, we like to, even though if it's a bad trade, right? We don't want to hide anything, even if it's a stop loss hit, guys, right? you know that I do talk about stop losses once in a while when I do get stopped out, of course. Trump won't trap me. Yeah, exactly. Not a very legit tweet, right? We would say it's a very bull trap, right? Tweet. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then obviously a few hours later, we do see, you know, people saying that, you know, it's not true. It's not true. And this is coming from the actual Twitter from Donald Trump, right? X account. Keep calling it Twitter, but I guess a lot of people do still. The community is where it happens, says Devil. Legend. Absolute legend. Guys, if you want to join, send me a DM in the Telegram, right? You know where to find us, right? If you're not already in, I'm not sure why you're waiting, right? Okay, thanks, Mr. Devil. Andy, BTC is getting a big rejection. I have to say, did you make money? What, longing or shorting? Which trade do you want to see, the short or the long? Right. You know, I don't like showing trades, guys. You know, I got obviously a short, and I got the day trading account. Okay, hedging on both sides. Okay, it's all about you. It's not about me. It's all about you. Okay. He doubled down on camera on what he tweeted. Yeah, interesting. Maybe this is going to start coming out more throughout the day. We are not here to talk about that. Okay. We are technical analysts. You know what they say, right? Show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. I would have never predicted the possibility of Donald Trump tweeting this today to get a pump, right? Never would have possibly predicted that, at least me. However, looking at the charts a few days in advance, you know, maybe the tweet was part of this setup, right? So show me the charts, right? And we can predict the possible movements. And we're going to break that down, okay? Andy, I'm officially 50% recovered from the losses I had before I started studying with you and Deviled. I'm so proud and humbled at the same time. So grateful to have found you guys. Woo! This we need a screenshot from this. We definitely need a screenshot from Beth Maria Vallejo's comment. Okay. Distance music. Yeah, it's not even true. He effed up so bad, says Distance Music. What can we do? We live like in interesting times, let's say, right? Interesting times. I look at long from the lows and closed at $2 profit because I expected another low. Then when I came back, price exploded. Cannot FOMO though. You know, I mean, when we miss the you know, the good thing about trading, you know, especially when we talk about day trading setups, right? Day trading possibilities. The good thing is, don't worry about missing the long. Okay, don't worry about it. There's going to be a short around the corner, right? Regardless here or here, we manage risk. There is another trade around the corner, okay? This is something that we need to obviously be, you know, chilled about, guys, right? We need to be chilled about missing trades. It does not matter. There's a trade around the corner. If it's not today, it's probably going to be tomorrow, okay? So that's what we do. And we wait. Obviously, when you get a big movement to the upside, such as we did a few hours ago, there's really nothing to do when you have this volatility. We wait for a little bit of a range, a correction. We take into consideration Elliott wave theory. Of course, maybe you got into an SFP from this high. It is aggressive. You moved down and then you took out the highs again, but I usually don't do anything when there's volatility. I don't, you know, when we do have big movements, it's a waiting game. It's like, wait, the price is going to range. It's going to chill, right? Once it chills, then we can have, you know, some plans being created, such as, you know, double, triple bottom. There's a big level down here, or there's a big level up here. There's another one up here, right? And let's chill. We've got the first pump. If we form a wave 4, then a wave 5, it might double top. It might reach this high. So the volatility, you know, when you get a massive pump or a massive dump, it's like, okay, that's it. The move happened, right? The move happened. If you're not in long from lower, longing on the pump here, it's not a great idea. You'd rather, start looking for shorts at resistance, considering what's happened here as well. Okay, so overall, that's it. Let's break down a little bit of what we could be looking for here. Is it bullish? Is it bearish? I want to ask the community before we crack down, the code here on the technical analysis and see the different possibilities. So let me just ask on a poll here. Bitcoin this week, right? Higher or lower? And if a lot of people say lower, it's something to be concerned about, right? If we do get 70% of the votes saying lower, which is already starting, right? 70 plus. It's like everybody's bearish. Then we have to pump, right? Everybody's very bearish, so a pump is coming. The charts do favor the dump, okay? The charts do favor the dump down, I have to say, right? Let's talk about the bullish scenarios, because the bearish scenarios are obvious. For me, at least, we're looking for a three-wave move to the upside, an impulsive move down, and looking for this to be a corrective structure potentially, and then get at some point, maybe this week, the wave 3 breakdown, right? This week might be early next week, right? If we are going to decide to range a little bit longer, but it does favor a little bit of downside. But there are some bullish scenarios here, considering the 4-hourly time frame. We'll be zooming, into the lower time frames now in the next coming minutes. I just want to break down the possibilities with you here, guys. It's just going to take 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll break down the 1 hour 15-minute time frame to really study the movement to the downside and this local move to the upside, really, to see the options that we have regarding, is it a high probability that we do get this movement to the upside, invalidation levels that we need to talk about, or is there higher probability in rolling down? So let's talk about one of the bullish scenarios. Of course, we do have this scenario right over here. That's one bullish scenario that could happen. This is actually dipping down, preferably to lower prices in this ABC movement. This is a leading diagonal, and a leading diagonal is not a common bullish structure, where this would be labeled as wave 1 or wave A, right? And naturally, you're looking for a higher low to then take out the highs here at $76,000. Leading diagonal is not common. If you can count any other structure apart from a leading diagonal, either multiple 1-2s or a corrective complex structure, in this case a WXY, they would have priority. And the multiple 1-2s looks horrible. It really does. It looks bad. It looks very, very bad. There's a lot of red flags for the multiple 1-2s. So naturally, the corrective structure has priority on the higher time frame as we speak, unless something really changes here on the 15-minute time frame that looks very, very bullish, which there is an option, because this movement up does look like an impulse. So a higher low from this low is possible just because we have an impulse on the lower time frames. Invalidation is the low. You want a higher low here, 50% golden pocket zone, right? Take out the highs again and actually, move to higher levels, regardless in a wave 3 or a wave C. We will talk about that in the next coming minutes. This does not have priority just because it's written in textbook, okay? Leading diagonal, not the greatest, doesn't carry the high probability if you can count something else. Now, of course, because we have a wave 1 an impulse down that could be a wave A, we could be having a flat here, all right? That is if we finish the 5th wave here, a flat and then an impulse down to form that ABC. Most common retracement after a leading diagonal is usually steep. It usually does get to the golden pocket or even 7-8 Fibonacci. Down here, what is interesting is, regardless if this is going to be the scenario, and then obviously we look for the price to rally, I'm not in favor of this scenario. Higher time frame levels of confluence is the golden pocket from the low to the high. That's from $60,000 to $76,000. Golden pocket is actually where we have this higher low, which is beautiful for a liquidity grab, right? It's very, very nice for that liquidity grab kind of whoop, whoop. And we do have the value area low of the entire range, which is sitting also with that golden pocket. Interesting confluence level. You know, this is a zone to take action for a possible long setup, okay? Naturally, what you would want to see after a correction is finished here, regardless if you have a flat or the fifth wave ended here and this actually creates another pump to 73k, right, or 74k, and then rolls over, could be a little bit trappy. All right, what we would want to see for this long setup is very, very similar to the long setup that we were discussing here on Friday into the point of control of Bybit. That's Bybit and Binance point of control, which was at 68k, not the Coinbase one, which was at 68.9k. That was the plan that was created on Friday, that was followed with the community throughout the weekend. For this scenario, this is very shallow. You know, I would not expect this to be the low in a double zigzag, and then we that's it, we rally and we break out in a wave C or a wave 3 here, right? I would not expect that. This is a very, very shallow in time correction. Also in Fibonacci retracement, 50% is a shallow pullback after a leading diagonal. It is common to get down to the golden pocket 7-8 zone if it were to be a leading diagonal. Now the problem is here of finishing a low for this case is that this correction is very quick in time. It did not even cross the 382 Fibonacci time, and over 75% of the times after a motive wave, regardless an impulse or a leading diagonal, you want to cross that 382 Fibonacci time. This is sitting for on the 31st or 1st of April if you wish. So naturally, if this is going to be a B wave, right, you need at least another week or so to finish based on the timing, right, that corrective move. Interesting levels, the golden pocket, sweep of the lows, and the 7-8 Fibonacci, of course, is also pretty relevant. You could get that sweep of the lows right there to keep it steep, claim all of the liquidity, and then get the reversal of all of the higher lows that were created in the last 1 to 2 weeks. They're the most relevant levels, golden pocket and 7-8, because you want to have guidelines. You got the liquidity grab for an SFP, and you got this SFP also with the value area low of the entire region. These are the only two levels that I would consider for this pattern, which is a leading diagonal, a long setup. These are going to be my guideline zones. I trade beneath them. I'm not interested. Get back above them. I would consider the long trade setup. Same for the 7-8. Either SFP or 7-8 are my guidelines. Okay. Naturally, to detect this, we would want to see a C wave down, A, B, C. We want to see a C wave to the downside, a 3-wave structure. A wave is created. Maybe we're busy with the B wave. B waves can be very complex. Okay, can be a flat. They could extend in a WXY, and this is a bit noisy. The easiest one would be the C wave in this case. A wave, you would say it was a plan, right? Regardless if it's a wave 1 or a wave A, we talk about it. Then the bounce is happening. Now the bounce is difficult. Bounce can be difficult. A B wave can transition into WXY. You can have triangles. You can have it can be quite complex. So what would be easier in this case, if this is going to play out, is wait for similar price action that we had down in the last week, basically. Because if you form a B wave in this zone, what you would want to see later on in a C wave is another impulsive move to the upside, to the downside, as we did have throughout the last few days. So regardless a bit of the messy scenario here, we're talking about this case, right? the best setup is analyzing the 15-minute to the 1 hour time frame to really see if we are moving down here in an ABC, right? The C wave, and detect after the largest move the end formation, which is going to be your 4-5, which is going, that's the moment it looks interesting to consider that long opportunity for that bounce. It's literally the same explanation as the movement down that we had last week. Okay, same explanation. We're looking at the end of a possible impulse. The largest move happened here. It is common to get a bounce right after taking out the third wave. We're looking at good levels of support, and we give the trading plans, of course, as you can see here, right? So that would be something very, very similar from this potential wave A. This is for this scenario only, right? For the leading diagonal only. We would want to see the correction to finish at least at the 1st of March, okay? And that's what we would want to see. You would want to see that C wave, right? After forming the B wave, wherever it finishes, if it's a flat or if it forms a zigzag, doesn't really matter. 3-wave structure into support, detecting the 5th wave. How can I detect a 5th wave? Well, you need the big move down, which, you know, always is labeled unless it gets invalidated as a wave 3, you know, always labeled as a wave 3. Then you want your 4 and your 5. That's the moment that you're looking for the bounce. So that's what we need to look for here in the next few days, right? Looking to see how we get down there. Obviously, the trading community and Telegram will be updated on all of the scenarios and the possible setups that myself or Devil are going to be looking for. Let's break down the other scenarios, okay? This is really, you know, the opportunity for this, I cannot stress it enough, is when you finish the 3-wave corrective structure. We don't know if it's going to happen, but we can have signals, right? We can have, you know, we can see stuff on the chart depending on how we develop. And this would be level 1, level 2. Could it stretch to the 0.88? It might, right? But we got some SFP levels here, of course. The last higher lows of the uptrend of the last 2 weeks. Naturally, we want the latest one, right, for that sweep of the low. This is, I mean, this, I do see this as a good long zone, at least internally, for a local bounce, because at that point, you're gonna, you know, people are gonna say, right, we're just gonna claim this low at some point. We're only a couple of $1,000s away, right? And then, you know, a reaction bounce here is after claiming the liquidities would be very, very much expected. Okay, very, very much expected. So that's where the opportunity lies. We need the C wave, we need the 5-wave down, and then obviously detect that 5th wave in one of these 2 levels. Let's continue with the other scenarios, which the bearish one, of course. Multiple 1-2s. This one was invalidated. We have a new one, of course, which would be the expanding diagonal right now, which is not great. Not great. Let's get this out of the way for this analysis. The other bullish scenario, that's the other, you know, first bullish scenario is large correction leading diagonal, one that's just been explained. The other scenario is your third 1-2 as an expanding diagonal, which is very, very rare. So this would be another one, okay, which you have 5 waves inside of an expanding diagonal, and then your wave 2 right over here, you would have to fit a double zigzag potential here, which you can do so, and then getting the bounce here, obviously a higher low. I think we came down into the 7/8 Fibonacci, almost hitting 0.88. This is like the last zone, right? Invalidation is 65.6k for this 1-2, 1-2, and another 1 and 2. There's a lot of red flags for this. Lot of red flags, even though there's no hard invalidation. There is no invalidation for this very ugly multiple 1-2s. There's no invalidation. There's a lot of red flags based on timing and based on patterns on the corrections. But just because they have low probability, as they're not very, very common. Explain. Well, we do have this wave 2, which is over 5 times longer from your wave 1. It is more common to get long corrective structures, either in a B wave or an X wave, rather than a wave 2. If they do extend to 5-6 times longer, the corrective structures in a B and an X do have a little bit of more priority than a wave 2. That's the first reason. Then you have this wave 1 and this ABC flat. We cannot put a wave 1 here because it's a 3-wave move up. So it has to be a running flat. Running flats are not that common. It's the least common flat that we do have. Expanding flat that does get to the 1.618 extension from your A wave, B wave, right? Regular flat, which literally just takes out the start of your A wave and the lower part of your C wave. And then the running flat, right? Which C wave does not take out the start of your A wave. These are not very common flats that happen. And then the third red flag is the third wave 1 is an expanding diagonal, which is very, very rare. If you ask me, look for an expanding diagonal as a motive wave or as an ending expanding diagonal, I cannot find one with the price action of the last year. If you ask me right now, look for an expanding diagonal throughout all of this price action, I cannot find one. That's how rare it is. It's just not a common motive wave, right? Or a leading or ending, right? If it is going to be a wave C or a wave 5. So that's rare. It's very, very rare, and it's a red flag. It's a very big red flag for this to be another wave 1 and this a wave 2, and then off we go in a wave 3, right? In the next 1 to 2 weeks. It's all probabilities, right? You need to map the situation to see what favors. And of course, this scenario is not great. It's not great. Too many red flags for this scenario to form another higher low. This is your invalidation. It is possible, right? We have to discuss that it is possible. That's your invalidation, really, at 65.6k, the higher low from the 9th of March. There is a possibility, there is a chance for a wave 3 breakout in the next couple of weeks. But the chances are low, this has to be said, based on the red flags that have just been explained. So this is not my favorite scenario overall, but I have to understand that it is possible. This is why I'm going to keep a little bit of that long trade, right? Why not? What if it does break out? The chances are there, even though they're low. So most profits are taken really on that long trade because we've swept the target zone. It was explained on Friday, right? So, but it's always nice to leave some open. My favorite scenario on the higher time frame, I have to say, is this scenario right over here. The movement to the upside. Likely a 3-wave complex corrective structure where you have W, you have X. This could be, it can be all sorts. You can even, I have a running flat here. Okay, it is possible. You got an impulse down here. There are many ways of counting this WXY for an X wave. I have to say there are a few of them, but it doesn't really matter. It's literally your zigzag here and then another zigzag here where your B wave is a running flat right there. I prefer this being a corrective structure coming in a downtrend. We are in a bear market. We do have the the fractal scenarios as well, right? That look very, very similar from previous price action of the last few months, even last few years of 2022. That's this one right over here. I mean, this one did take out the high, so it's not exactly the same, but very choppy and very corrective. Arguably discuss a bear flag, right? So that's my favorite scenario right over here. For the moment, when we discuss higher time frame, I would favor this scenario, that there's higher probability in taking out $60,000 in the next 1 to 2 weeks, right? Or so, give or take, right? We can't say the exact timing, but overall looking to take out $60,000 rather than moving above $76,000. This is why studying this movement and sweeping up these highs, getting into value area high, is not a bad idea. Managing risk, of course, overall, because then you're going to have the traders that are shorting, and having a bunch of shorts here as well, just to add to the short, not being aware that there is a possibility that the price can break out in a wave 3. I am not worried about myself or Devils. I'm more worried about the people that would take the information badly and does not manage risk, because Devils, also with today inside of the trading community, is talking about the short and talking about the rejection point, but is also talking about the risk management, protecting position. If this gets stopped out, there will be another chance to get in, right? It doesn't matter. I would rather get stopped out. Managing risk, either a very tiny loss or break even, and look for another short at other levels, right? Which we are going to explain once we dive in through the 15-minute time frame. So shout out to Devil here, also with the awesome risk management, okay, for the community. That said, it's time to dive into the 1 hourly time frame. Much love to everybody. Time for 1 hour. 4 hour is finished. Time to zoom in on the chart. Okay, we've given the perspective of a little bit of this range. We are hitting resistance. Resistance is the value area high. Resistance to take into consideration here. Really, you got a bit of a fair value gap here in between 73.5 and 72k. I don't like fair value gaps too much, because they can get filled relatively easy. I like the consolidation. So it is true that at 74k we do have a good high volume node from a mini range that we formed last week, and we do have some good levels of resistance round about the 72k region as well, just in case we get up there in the next coming hours. And I will explain the setup, okay, in the next coming minutes, of course, as we do dive in through the lower time frames, legends. Okay, much love to everybody. 1 hour time frame is next, and then we dive in through the 15-minute time frame. So make sure to grab your cup of tea or your cup of coffee right now before we get to the 1 hour time frame. We're going to do a minute of chat section to see the comment and say hello to the new people that are joining, and enjoying life, enjoying trading. It's been an absolutely epic week, I have to say. Last week, good start of the week, and yeah, we're gonna crack down here a little bit of the price action on the 1 hourly. Okay, we're gonna build up the structure from scratch. Okay, clean chart, no nothing, no RSI, no, everything from the beginning being explained, okay, in detail. So make sure to stay tuned. Smash up the like button. Let's do a like button recount. Okay, let's get to 200 legends. Come on, what the heck is going on? Make sure to stay tuned. We want to be the best. We want to try and provide the best value, education, how to trade, how to manage risk, what we're looking for, the probabilities. And I need a little bit of more love, guys. I need a little bit of more love. 122 likes. Let me get around the table, see if we can get this like button to 200. And then we'll go through comment section, and it's time to break down the 1 hourly time frame. Right, comment section time. It is Suzanne, much love. Hello legends. Hi Andy. Suzanne, much love to you. Thanks for joining. Bath Maria, disclaimer. Yes, I got that disclaimer in a little late. Okay, disclaimer was talked about. Okay, I learned patience with the legends. So amazing. Bath Maria Vallejos, much love desde Barcelona. A trader, so close to 100 likes. Man, we should be getting to 200 likes at least. A trader, so close. Come on guys, share a bit of love. 160, that's good enough. That's good enough. Point of control holding at the moment. Nice. That's very locally, I would assume. Very locally. I guess we are gonna break out soon. The bears haven't lost enough money yet. Chichan. Yeah, very possible. I don't know. We'll talk about the levels and the scenarios, okay? Come on, legends. 200 likes. Hey, trader, thanks for the support. Hola, muchísimas gracias por tus live. Francisco, de nada, amigo. Point of control holding at the moment. I'm not sure what point of control are you talking about. Is that the overall higher time frame point of control, or maybe from this range over here? Yeah, maybe this one. I'm not sure which one. Maybe there's a lot of point of controls. Maybe, yeah, not this one. This one's lower. Anyway, not sure if it's previous day point of control maybe, or this mini range. Not sure which point of control you are talking about. I would assume it would be this one from this range over here, slightly below it. Anyway, before we get down to the 1 hour time frame, thank you very much for joining, guys. Hope you like the education. You can see the power of probabilities, of risk management, and I hope that everybody that is watching the channel is becoming a much better trader, okay, with time. Of course, this does take time. Could be months, could be a few years, but it's something that you take a good experience, and your knowledge obviously gets that boost, right, of seeing the probabilities, how to read the markets, and obviously, you know, take those opportunities with a cold mind, right, being very, very good. Because I know, you know, every trader has a demon and has an angel. I have it as well, okay? Every trader has a demon and has an angel. The demon is going to be like, screw stop loss. No stop loss ever. Add to the position. You know, if it doesn't reject, it will roll over at some point. You're going to be safe. It doesn't matter, right? And the demon is like, you know, turning you into a bad trader, right? Which you're going to get. You're going to catch a few good trades, you know. Everybody's been down there. Every experienced trader has been down that path until you get that day where the market, you know, absolutely dumps if you're in a long, or pumps like crazy, and it does not stop, and you are caught underwater. You're never going to see me caught underwater. If you do, it's going to be with a very small position percentage-wise from my trading capital. It's going to be either 1 or 2%. You're never going to see me with a big loss holding, adding to position, and all of that. We might have strategies that is adding to the position, but it's always going to be with our risk tolerance, right? 1%, maybe you can add another 1% at this zone, but that's it. Always, guys, right? The demon is going to tell you no stop loss, add as much as you can, it will turn around and you will end up burning your account or getting into big fat loss. The angel is going to say, you know how to do this. Don't listen to the demon. Plan your trades, plan your levels, get ready, manage your risk, be in the 1 to 3% risk tolerance, never go above 3%. It's very difficult because even if sometimes I risk 3%, and you always have the demon that says, come on, you can squeeze it to 5%. Squeeze it to 5, maybe 10. You know, if it's 5, then it's going to be 10. And if it's 10, it might be 20. It happens to everybody. I've been there. I never do it. I think in bad things when I'm trading. And I want to cap my risk management at 3%, right, of my capital, or have 5% max. You know, you choose one, but stick to it. It happens to everybody, guys. It's natural. We are human beings. We are emotional. We want to risk more, right? We have it in our system. You need to be very, very disciplined, guys. Okay, always, and you will succeed in time. You will see how you will increase capital if you do stick to the rules. And the angel is going to be there, saying, plan your trades, wait. If there's volatility kicking in, don't rush unless you have a plan, which could be an SFP level of a point of control or a major liquidity lower high or higher low zone. If you have a plan, then yeah, you can trade the volatility. But if you get big movements, no FOMO in, if you don't have a plan, don't trade. Wait for a range. There's going to be clarity in between today and tomorrow at some point. The angel is just going to tell you to stick to the rules, stick to the plan. And you're always going to have the demon there, right? The demon is always there. I always have the demon, saying, risk more than 3%, risk more, no stop loss, add to the position. The demon never goes. He's always there in your trading career. So it's all about, training that. You need to train it, saying, screw the demon. There's another trade tomorrow, right? Demon never goes. He never goes. He's always there. I don't know why I'm talking about this. It just came out, so just a little bit of emotional education on that side, I guess. Por eso es que el diablo vive jodido. Exactly, Vegas Claw. El diablo, right? El diablo y el ángel. Siempre vas a tener el diablo y el ángel. The demon and the angel. And your demon. No, sir. The demon will also cause you to round trip trades because you get too greedy and don't take profit. Very true. Very true. Divine Hood. Very true. Divine Hood and a legend. He's also got a trading channel. I think it's Divine Hood Trading. Shout out to you, my man. Much love. Thanks for joining. The demon and the titanium shield. Exactly. Someone was remembering the titanium shield. Very, very good. I feel a webcomic coming on. Yeah, exactly. The titanium shield was interesting. That's one that it came up the other day. And the example of the titanium shield was, literally levels, right? If you have levels and you do consider the levels as a titanium shield, right? You don't want the titanium shield to be broken. It can be tapped into. But if the titanium shield, right, is getting resistance, right, you actually reclaiming and you're getting back above the titanium barrier shield, right, then it gives you that possibility to execute the trade with good risk management as per the plan, right? So anyway, yeah, that was interesting. I'm glad that, I guess you enjoyed that that story from the other live stream. Enough, guys. Enough is enough. Starting to talk a bit of BS right now, and it's we need to focus on the charts and a little bit of the trading plans. Okay, much love to everybody. I'll go through the comment section in about 10-15 minutes again, guys. Let's crack down here with the scenarios on the lower time frame. Okay, I'm going to keep it relatively simple regarding Elliott wave theory as well. I don't want to go too much into detail, but first of all, bearish scenario does look interesting. On the higher time frame, right? Value area high being tapped. We do have a valid count for a corrective move up here, which looks better rather than the bullish scenarios. Bullish scenarios, we have a leading diagonal. Never the highest probability scenario if you can count something else. And the multiple 1-2s, last 1-2, an expanding diagonal, very, very, very rare. So preferably you're looking at this as a corrective structure. And what is good is that we have a very valid impulsive move down to the downside here on the 1 hourly time frame. This is where it gets a little bit tricky when you go down 15-minute, 5-minute time frame. If you're going to do the little micro counts on the wave 1s and 2s and 4 and 5s, right, and then the complex corrections and your little wave 4s, I'm going to keep it a little bit simple. One scenario is you have a finished impulsive move to the downside. However, the end is here instead of here. There is a chance for the impulse to finish in this pivot because you can count it. You can count a possible finish move. I mean, when you go to the 1 minute time frame, you can add another 1-2, and that's where you can add another 4-5 to the downside. But let's talk about this one first of all. If let's just say that you finished a 5-wave move down here, which could be a wave 1 or could be a wave A. With this movement to the upside and this movement to the downside, you can fit a 3 up and a 3 down. There is a chance for an ABC flat here. There is a chance for an ABC flat, which could be finished. Or maybe you create this higher low right over here and you claim the highs one more time. This is why as reactionary traders, you know, Devil already, you know, got into that sniper short here. You know, it can be the high. You know, maybe you get a very, very staircasey bounce in the next coming hours, and boom, you know, you break down in a wave 3. So there is a chance of the high being in here in this case. However, you could actually form one more high. That's when you do dive in through the lower time frames. You can arguably discuss you have a wave 1, 2 in a flat, another 1, 2 here, 3, 4, 5, and then you got your another 4 and then another 5, right? Just because you can fit a couple of 1, 2s here means that you can have a couple of 4, 5s. So that's something that, you know, I can obviously take into consideration. Just like last week, I understood that maybe this is not the low. Maybe a 5th wave is going to end up, you know, at 68k or 67.2. This is why we have our levels of guidance to, you know, to execute that long trade as soon as we reclaim it. To manage risk. So overall, ABC flat here is possible. Is the end here, or do we get another 4 in 5? Well, that's going to be interesting. If we are playing with this possibility, I need to have a level ready above the recent highs. I need to have a level ready above this recent high where we formed at 71.8k. If the high is not in here already, and it is true that we get one more 4 in 5 just because we can count another 1, 2, 4, 5, right? Another 4 in 5 here. Then what is interesting? What are the levels of interest that we do have up here? There is a bit of a fair value gap, right? We would arguably discuss. There is a nice pivot. You could say it's the first lower high, you know, after, you know, before the fair value gap that you have right over here, right? There is a bit of action going on here with this breakdown that we had on, when was it? The breakdown was on Wednesday the 18th. I have no interest in any short trades in this area. I have to be honest here. So this is a no trade zone for me. You might find an order block on the 5-minute, 15-minute, or 30-minute, but I'm not. I would have another plan here, which I want to explain right away. The other plan here that could be created is if we were to take out those highs again, then, you know, because we do have the possibility, right? And it's all about possibilities. Because we have the possibility of having a couple of 1, 2s here before this, you know, nice little pump that we had a few hours ago, that we always want to try and label as a wave 3. Maybe you have the 4 and 5 finished right there, right? As explained, you know, this has the possibility of finishing there. But what if it hasn't, right? I don't want to FOMO into a short here. I don't want to, you know, for me, short here, stop loss at the high. No, I missed the short if I did not get in here. So if we form another higher low, boom, 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 right? We rally all the way up to 72k plus. One level of guideline that I would treat as an SFP, just like this one right over here, could be your guideline for the SFP, right? You sweep up that lower high, boom, SFP, guideline, entry, stop loss, boom, down, 3-to-1 risk reward. I can protect, I can scratch a bit of profits, running a free trade. Because we have the possibility of another 4 and another 5, I need a guideline. I need a level that could be a liquidity grab for me to execute the trade on the rejection, right? And this would be one of them, because fair value gap, there's 2 scenarios that can happen on a fair value gap. It acts as resistance, the lower part of it, so you tap it and you reject from it, or you blast through from it. These are weak points. They are weak points. No volume point of controls, no naked point of controls. It's fast volume, it's a fast move. When you have fast moves up or down, you can also form that fast move up and down, right? An example that I could give you here, this is a small fair value gap, but as you can see, when the price gets above that pivot, you know, the price really got punchy here and even crossed all of this, you know, consolidation. Fast move down means that if you lose that, you know, you lose that lower high, it could be a fast move up as well. So this is a fast move territory. Fast move territory. I want to be careful there. This is a no trade zone for me. It can be a trade zone if we swing failure pattern from the first lower high, of the fair value gap. So that's a plan. There's a plan right there. I know what to do here. It's a liquidity grab from the first lower high of the fair value gap. It's the level that needs to hold on the reaction, and that could give me my execution. I can execute a trade here with good risk management that has the potential of rolling down, you know, to the lows and lower. So, I mean, this trade could be a very, very good trade. That's if this is not the lower high, which has the possibility, right? It's just creating a new plan just in case, oh, we're pumping, we're getting into, you know, higher levels. This is the only level of interest, the first level of interest, okay, for a short execution here. Until the price does not come up to hit this level, I will not be interested in a short trade. I mean, with local price action, if you're looking at the 1 minute time frame, 5 minute, maybe you can find something for a lower high, okay, if you form a very corrective local structure. But that's obviously, you know, inside of a trading community if we do go down lower time frames. But for YouTube, you know, just going to keep it a little bit more simple, of course. And obviously we don't have the local information on the 5 minute time frame, so we can't discuss it. So that's a little bit of a trading plan here that we do have. Okay, I have in that case. Fair value gap, first lower high. Reaction, I have a short trade execution. No reaction, I know that we could really fill all of this 72 to 73.5k fair value gap. So I'm not interested. This is an X for no trade. That's one setup for the reaction. If we break out, naturally, I need to find some other levels for a reaction. I need a guideline. In trading, you always need guidelines to manage risk. Fake outs, stop loss above the highs, right? Considering the local structure, which can form multiple 1, 2s, 3, multiple 4, 5s. I understand that this rejection is very possible based on how we moved up there. Because when you have a 1, 2, another 1, 2, and a 3, big volume move, you know what, I could expect there's 4, 5s, which at some point will fail, right? We will create that massive move down. So I understand that that is very, very possible as a trade setup here, just at the lower part of this fair value gap based on the 4, 5 that we could get here. If that level is broken and we blast out of it, I'll be like, well, no trade, right? No trade. We didn't form that SFP. I couldn't execute the trade. I will be waiting for the next level. It's all about waiting. If your level did not get a reaction for your trade execution, you need to wait for the next level. In that case, I have a fair value gap here. Not much levels. Maybe there's an order block. We ain't going to go through all of the little time frames. There might be an order block somewhere here. If you do take a look at Fibonacci from the high to the low, golden pocket from the highs of 76k to the lows at 67.4k. Golden pocket is a little bit in no man's land here. In the middle of the fair value gap. And I'm not too interested. There's a little consolidation. I mean, let's find an order block here. I'm sure there's one in the 30-minute or 15-minute. There's a little order block right there on the 30-minute time frame, right? It is below. It is below the golden pocket. It's a little bit of an order block in no man's land. No fib levels, no major point of controls. That order block is at 72.3 to 72.5k. Not enough confluence, no Fibonacci. If the order block was exactly at the golden pocket, then I would consider it, right? The more confluence you add to a zone level, the better. If it's a order block that's a little bit in no man's land, I don't even consider it. If you reject from it, then okay, so be it, right? I don't like them very much for a trade. If you reject from it, so be it. I would actually short the SFP, not the order block. Me personally, of course, everybody has their own trading plan, but for me, I'm more of an SFP or a reaction at a better level. So yeah, if order block, I'm not considering it. Okay, just that's me, of course. So I would have to look for higher levels. Golden pocket, yeah. Also a little bit in no man's land. It is better this mini range that we do have here, where we have the point of control, which is at the 7/8 Fibonacci. Now this would be a bit of a spooky pump, right? It would be a bit of a spooky pump if we do get to 74k, but 74k, somebody was saying in the comment section that, do we pump to 74k and then reject? I have to give it a valid option, because this is like the last line in the sand, right? Where this is the last line to form a lower high. Preferably 0.88 is not touched, even though it can be touched and still be a lower high. But 7/8, what is interesting is that we have a mini range point of control of last week. So I have two levels that are very, very relevant here, considering the bearish case scenario, which would be this ABC flat. I don't know how high the last fifth wave can be, so I need guidelines. Fifth wave is not common to have an expanding fifth wave, where your fifth wave is longer than your wave 3, but it's possible. It's not common, but it's possible. So I need guidelines. I have two guidelines here. There's going to be a no trade zone for me, which is this entire box. Okay, we'll just turn that red, just for the sake of it here. Fair value gap low for the SFP, for that shallow wave 5, is going to be the option stop loss entry. It could actually roll down very fast. There is that option. Giving this example, we did have a running flat here when we had a valid impulsive move down here. There was a valid impulsive move down, and there was a valid running flat ending in a diagonal. In this case, ending diagonal is more common than a leading diagonal. If we are looking for a flat, price could turn around very, very quick. Just to give you a little bit of the possibilities here, right? Because this does have the chance of rolling down very aggressively. Will it or not? Then it really, really depends. But the execution is there. The execution is there, just like this execution that was valid coming into the weekend, right? Sunday, Monday, which we like, because that's where the markets could bottom out if you're ranging, which was the case, right? Throughout Saturday and Sunday. A bit of choppiness, a bit of losing 68k, getting, it looks bearish, and then you get the surprise pump on Monday, which was not a surprise, by the way. It was very much planned. So I have two main levels here. If the high is not in, and I am looking for a lower high. And this is important for the newbie trader, because the newbie trader is going to jump in a short whatsoever, and I'm going to add to the short here, right? Because a lower high is going to happen, and it's bearish. That's it. I'm a bear, and it's bearish, and the Trump tweet was false, and we're in a bear market, and I'm just going to add to the short because it's going to roll over at some point, right? We don't do that. We plan. We plan our trades. We give specific executions so we can actually be profitable traders, right? Not say, I'm underwater, you know, and I'm going to get liquidated and all of that. It doesn't happen with us. It never happens, because that's the way to not trade. We give the plans, we give the levels, we give the possibilities, right? And, you know, thankfully, regardless if a stop loss is hit, we can prove it. We got a video track record, we got a community track record, right? And we can prove that, you know, the plans do come to fruition, right? And if they don't, they get stopped out. That's it. It doesn't matter. It's another trade. So for this plan, in that case, if we were to form another fifth wave, it's about being patient, right? Because I know maybe a lot of people would be like, oh, it's going to roll over. We swept the lower highs of the last few days. I'm going to short already because I didn't catch the high. And, you know, you got a bit of a wider stop loss. Maybe you're considering adding to the position if you sweep up the highs, because you expect the highs to just be swept and then roll over. But what if it breaks? What if it does break and you are caught in the short position? What are you going to do then? You're obviously going to be not happy with your execution and your management. So there's two plans here, basically, right? The second plan, you know, if we break that level out, I would be waiting patiently. It is true that you do have that value area low of this mini range. There's, you know, it could be a support resistance flip. I'm not a massive fan of the value area lows. They do provide resistance of you know, a range of a few days. They can provide that resistance, and it's also a support zone, right? We're talking about 73.6k. I prefer high volume nodes. So if the price does, you know, say that the price breaks out from here and this level does not get a rejection, we fill the fair value gap and we come up here and it rejects from the value area low, you can treat it as a SFP level, reaction zone, because we have better confluence at the point of control. And I like to wait for better confluence. I like for the levels to be hit, the strongest levels to be hit. The weak levels I'm not that fond of, right? And the point of control at 74.2k with the 7/8 Fibonacci of the entire move down is a better level than the value area low and this support resistance flip zone. You do have support based on the, you know, the proof on the candlesticks here. This was on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And the value area low, you could treat it as 73.6k, that is. We could give it another level here for the reaction. So I would have to change this into this and then another box in between for the no trade zone. So that's one level, $72,000 basically. SFP from the first fair value gap. Next level would be this one. Next level would be the better one, of course, point of control and the 7/8. At 74k, people are going to start sweating. If you are feeling bearish for a lower high, this is the point where you start sweating, and you're like, you know, if you don't reject from here, you know, we could be getting into 76k, right? So we only treat them as reaction levels. You need that price action to get down below so you can execute the trade. 3 levels, that's it. And 3 levels are your guidelines. Will it be this one? Will it be this one? Will it be this one? Nobody knows. Maybe it's this one already, and we're already going to roll over in the next coming hours. There is a chance for that scenario. I'm just creating some plans on levels. If we do get the pump based on having another 4 in 5 here, that does have the possibility. Now, you know, maybe this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. That's the end of the story. I kind of feel it looks good for another higher. It kind of looks good here for a couple of 1, 2s, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Get a cheeky 5th wave. that creates that little mini short squeeze to then roll over later on. Now the question is, which is the level that's going to reject? This one, or this one? And those are the three main ones that I would have here for this short execution. It's a plan. We need to get above the level, reject from the level, and it gives you that execution with good risk management. I'm kind of going too much with this scenario, so let's move on to the other scenario naturally, because this is not the only one, but this one does have a possibility. The other scenario is moving down here to the move down from here is a 5-wave move. Okay, naturally I would label that wave 4 finishing here, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is countable. I know this does look extremely messy and very choppy, but you have a wave 1, wave 2, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish your third wave, and then a shallow 4 and another 5 right there. So that would be 1, 2, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish the third wave. You've got 5. Yeah, you can fit a fifth wave here. Now the problem with this, of course, is you can correct here in the next coming hours, right? Regardless if you take out the high again or not, for this to be an impulse, right? This movement up, taking out the high or not, it doesn't really matter. But the problem is if you correct here between today and tomorrow, right? So if you say that you take out the high or you don't, if you correct here and you get overlap between today and tomorrow, right? And you form a little bit of that channel-y corrective structure and lots of overlap, this could be as this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your wave A, and that's your you're forming a wave B here, and then you get a cheeky wave C that kind of moves to higher levels. If that were to be the case, right, say that we range here between today and tomorrow, and we don't take out the local highs, right, or we don't break out or attempt to break out. If we range, I would consider the ABC. This will have to be mentioned by tomorrow, I think, because we need that range to study the range, because we might jump in a long position, myself or Devolt, providing the possibilities inside of the trading community. If the move in the next 24 hours does, basically give us the information that this looks corrective, and maybe this is not a wave A and it's a wave 1, and you have a 1, 2, 3. I wouldn't expect it, but regardless, we would be looking for a 3-wave move. So maybe longs tomorrow, if we do range, could be looking interesting in this zone. But we're not here to talk about that. We're just talking about the possible plan. So if you're not inside of the trading community, you will not be aware of this. But if you are, you will be aware, of course. So if you want to join, you know where to find us. We do provide daily updates, possible setups that myself and Devil are looking for, and it's super easy to join, guys. I'm not sure what you're doing if you're not in there already. Just send me the word access to the Telegram. Super easy to join to get a few months for free, of course. Sign up to either Bluffin, 2bit, do a minimum deposit for your own trading. Jump inside of the trading community, guys. Okay, we've explained throughout the beginning of the stream how we've been looking at the weekend, right? Looking for the long setup at 68k on the reclaim. Devil's already jumping into a short, sharing it with the trading community. So that's where we do get a lot of action and analysis on the local time frame, of course. So you know where to find us. First link down below, guys, is the Telegram for a DM. This scenario, it's going to take a bit of time. It's going to range maybe. I'm not interested at the moment till we get more information to analyze this, maybe for a long, because I'm aware that this could be the high and it might just roll over. This needs a bit of choppiness. But what would be interesting is this move to the upside. If we range and we break the, say the channel, Obviously, the detection of the 5-wave move up here is going to be interesting, which we want to label as a wave C, right? The best level naturally would be that point of control and 7/8 Fibonacci for that steep, right, bounce after the impulse down. Naturally here you're looking for a lower high and then roll over in the coming days. I'm not sure if this is going to evolve, right? We've talked about the local bearish case. We do have the chance of rolling over already, guys. As mentioned, this could be an ABC flat. It's finished, right? And we start rolling down, right? It's you know, this is just creating a plan for a new short, depending on the next information. So if the next information is ranging, we could label it as a wave B. And then if we do break out in a 5-wave move, when then we have that, you know, 3-wave potential after the impulse down. Best levels, I mean, I because a C wave usually is longer or similar in size than your wave A, usually I would not be a fan of a double top here. I would really want to see that squeeze breakout. This is why, if this scenario is the one that's going to evolve in the next 24 to 48 hours, I would rather want to wait for the C wave to break out, just because it is common in a zigzag that your C wave is, you know, similar in size or a little bit longer than your A wave. Okay, so naturally, if you do range here in a wave B, I would cancel the fair value gap short. I mean, it could always SFP, but I would just be a little bit, I wouldn't go heavy here. I would probably enter with a 0.5% of my account if I wanted to short this, because I understand after this range that we could be popping out quite a lot, right, to the 74k region. The levels I would consider are the same ones as the previous one. Previous scenario, ABC flat, if we were going to get another 5th wave, that is value area low and point of control. Point of control best option, of course, because it's with the 7/8 Fibonacci from the entire move down. 74.1, 74.2k is the best zone for this scenario, just because a C wave is usually similar in size or a little bit longer than your wave A. So naturally, I would expect a little bit of that punchy move up. Most importantly, we need to detect the 5-wave move. A 5-wave can only be detected once you get the big move in a wave 3. Then it's this shallow pullback for the 4 and 5 that you want to pay attention, coming into the levels of resistance to take that short decision. So that's one scenario as well, right? However, this would naturally, instead of taking out the highs in the coming hours, right, for that SFP or moving up into the other resistance, then the difference on this one is that you range here and then you break out maybe by tomorrow, right, or maybe Wednesday, or right, that's the difference. This would be a regular ABC zigzag. There is, right, we need to zoom in a little bit ever so slightly here on the lower time frames, because what if there's, you know, we don't reject at any levels, we don't turn around either here, or we form a lower high, and, you know, the price breaks out in the coming days to 76k plus, right? We've been talking about these bearish levels and options that we do have locally here. And what if the price moves up, right? What are you going to say then the next day, right? You've been bearish, you've been talking about bearish setups, you know, you need to have an explanation, right? Well, this would be for the bullish case scenario, which is on the 4-hour, you know, 1 hour, 4 hour time frame, which we explained about the multiple 1-2s in this case, which is this one right over here, right? 1 2 1 2, and this leading expanding diagonal, another wave 1 right there. Would it make sense for this to be the wave 2? I mean, well, this is already hitting, you know, minimum fib time target, which is 382. So this is fine to be the end of a correction. Does it fit in nicely for this? Hang on a second. I'm going to try and give a little bit of organize all of this. Would it make sense for this to be the low? Look, we could squeeze in. We could potentially squeeze in here a WXY, but you could squeeze one really, because this would be a zigzag quick correction in wave X and another zigzag down here. Not the best looking, but you know, if we were to consider, the probabilities are higher that this is an impulse, either this or this. So even though for the bullish case scenario we have an expanding diagonal to the upside in third wave 1, so that's not, it's the only pattern that we have, and this is rare, so it's not looking great for the bulls when we consider the chart and the probabilities. But I would have to say, well, yes, you can fit an expanding diagonal here. It's not common. Yes, you can fit a double zigzag for this to be the low at 68k, right? Naturally, when we do consider this, you know, the invalidation would be the low at 67.4k. That it has to be your invalidation for if this is going to be the low in a WXY double zigzag. Not great, not great. I mean, this is probably slightly different, but I'm sure you can fit in a double zigzag here. But for that scenario, which, you know, is bullish, if this has to be the low at the point of control from Bybit, right? Because Bybit is, you know, hit that point of control, dipped below it yesterday, and reclaimed. Now we're back at value area high. If this were to be the low to take out 76k, you can fit in a double zigzag, expanding diagonal, not great. This is, you know, this would have to be your wave 1, right? This is, you know, why in the next 24 hours, or, you know, 24-48, let's say, if the movement here proves itself to be corrective, I mean, we could even be talking about an inverted head and shoulder tomorrow, maybe, right? Maybe we can talk about an inverted head and shoulder on the formation here, ends up breaking out. Regardless, for the ABC, then down, or the 1, 2, 3, we need more information here. We've only just pumped today, just got a little pullback, which could be an internal small 4, and then we take out the highs again, as explained. We need more information on this, but I would be willing to take a long position, maybe tomorrow, or maybe on Wednesday. It really depends here, but yeah, I would arguably discuss tomorrow. If from the local highs that are created, regardless here, or we take out the high again, you know, we need to study the pullback, right, to see if it is going to be a channel formation, if there's going to be overlap, right? Then we can say, guys, you know what, this is either 1 or A, right? And we need to be aware that, yeah, we have the 2 or B wave formation here, but what if we don't form a wave C and roll over in a lower high, and it just pops out and it just explodes, right? Then obviously all of the bears that were expecting a lower high here are going to be like, whoa, what happened, right? So we have time. I would not expect the price to pump up to 76k plus today. You know, this would have to form some kind of a range between today and tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, to consider the new long setup, right? Because I mean, this is a new long setup. Long setup was explained on Friday, was explained on Sunday, which was this one at 68k, reclaim of 68k. Once you get below it, there's a long setup is already there. It's about a new long setup, right? That could have high probability. that is going to take a little bit. It has to take at least 24 hours so we can analyze the potential range that we could be forming here. But we literally need to form a bit of a rangy, overlappy structure to really consider the movement to the upside. Okay, so I mean, this requires time. We can't predict if this is going to happen. We need that information, which naturally will be discussed inside of the trading community tomorrow, if Devil doesn't cover it on YouTube in the morning, or myself. So new longs is complicated right now. New longs for like a bigger move, right? You can get into scalp long here if you want, but we're talking about the little bit of the bigger moves, right? Bigger moves of, you know, $2,000-$3,000, just like the one explained on Friday. These are the day trades that I'm looking for. They could turn into a little swing trade. It could last 2 days, maybe 3. But literally looking for the bigger moves, right? This is not a scalping channel. It's a intraday setup, right, channel. And we look for slightly bigger moves, not moves of $500 or $1,000. Preferably above $1,000 are the main moves that we look for as intraday traders that could turn into a swing, right? Could turn into a little swing. So I don't have any long setup here, really. We would need a little bit of information. Long setup was throughout yesterday, Sunday, as we reclaimed Sunday night or early this morning, depending on where you are of that point of control of Bybit and Binance, right? So yeah, this is going to take a little bit of time for the longs. Shorts are looking more interesting at the specific levels. We do have an ABC flat option. You could take out the high again in the coming hours. It looks very attractive naturally. Will it be the fair value gap low, or will it pop out and actually come to the higher resistance zone here? That's something that we do not know. We are reactionary traders, right? It's either this level or either this level. And if it's none of the levels, you should not be in the short and holding the short or adding to the short, right? Right. There's really not much. I don't like any local bullish case, I have to say. It doesn't look great for the price to really move up from here. We would have to channel, taking out the high again or not. And we would consider the bullish case tomorrow, if so, either the ABC or the 1 2 3, right? And it ends up breaking out, which has low probability, of course, based off of all of this information as explained. Okay, so really not much more to discuss when we're looking at the 1 hourly 15-minute, and that's basically it, guys. That's basically it. Let's go through the comment section and say hello to the community and a few plans. Longs, I don't have any long plan. We just got the pump, guys, so we can't FOMO into a long here. I mean, I can't FOMO into a long. The long plan was suggested on Friday and inside of a trading community. I mean, this was the long. We got the pump, so longing up here without any range or any consolidation. Can it pump up and get a big move of $2,000 or $3,000? Absolutely, but I just don't. I don't have the local long setup here. I mean, we could find one on the 5-minute. Of course we can, but yeah, we're just not. Let me just check something here. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. As explained. If this were to be multiple 1-2s, of course, I mean, the only long setup would be to take out the local highs, really. And from the lowest point here, if this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2. You can actually fit an ending diagonal, a leading diagonal, sorry. You can actually fit a leading diagonal right there. Sharp pullback, which is very common after a leading diagonal. This is very, very common to see. If I actually like this. Well, wave 1, wave 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Usually if you do form a wave 1, 2 and you have another 1 and 2 right there, maybe another 1, 2, you know, you have your wave 3. That's your lower time frame, wave 3, 4, and 5, and that would be your higher time frame, wave 3. If you're going to form another 4 and another 5 to finish the impulse as explained, it is common for your second wave 4 to be higher than your first wave 4. Okay, I mean, I would treat that first wave 4 as a stop loss. These are cheeky lower time frame trade setups. I rather look for short trades on the 5th wave after the big volume move, right? Because the big move already happened. So you know, trying to squeeze a long to the high here. I mean, yeah, you can naturally. I don't like it's not an invalidation if your second wave 4 gets below the first wave 4, but it is, you know, very, very common most of the times that if you're forming an impulse in multiple 1, 2s, a 3, a 4, 5, and a 4 and a 5, you know, like your 1, 2s, which do form higher lows, it is very, you know, it's just the most common thing to happen, that your wave 4s do form a higher low between them as well, just like your wave 2s. So this would be your invalidation. But you know, trading 4 and 5s for one more leg up to take out the high is really taking a little bit of a gamble, in my opinion. It is a little bit more of a, you know, there would be a way of counting this as the end of the wave 5, wave 1, wave, you know, what if this is a WXY, you know, this is lower time frame. What if this is your wave 2? There's no double 1, 2 here, right? Because there will, you know, because wave 2s or wave 4s can be complex sideways correction. What if this is a, you know, WX and you have A, B, C, D, E, a very, very small triangle right there, and that's your wave 2, right? That's your wave 1, that's your wave 2, that's your wave 3, 4, and that's your wave 5. There's no 4, 5 here. This is the problem of trying to trade the last little push up to claim the highs in your 4, 5s. That, yeah, you can count a double 1, 2 here, but you could also count a WXY sideways correction. And that's the main issue right there, to try and get into the last little push long, right, to take out the highs. I'm not a fan, you know, 4, 5s are really your exit zone, right? In an impulse, right, regardless if you get another 4, 5, you know, you want to start exiting here based on the long that you might have got in, you know, from a few days ago. So yeah, you get the point here. They can be very, very challenging and not extreme high probability setups. I prefer day trade scenarios than actually looking for little scalps and the last little push to the upside. VWAP, session VWAP. If this is going to be your lower time frame wave 4, if you did not, you know, catch along here at the 7-8, let's say you tap the VWAP, you maybe claim that low, and maybe it does bounce later on, I would treat the VWAP as an entry point just to have a better risk management stop loss. Just in case, you know, what if this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and 5, right? I don't want to rush into the long. I would want to get in at the lowest level possible. So my only option now would be look for a local double bottom and hit the VWAP. If you know reaction at the VWAP, you break through, then there's no trade, right? So that could be a guideline here, and preferably you form a higher low from your first wave 4. And just a little bit of, you know, tips and tricks, and well, yeah, it's all about, you know, is this a WXY or is it a 1 2 1 2, right? If it is another 1 2, then you expect another 4 and 5. Preferably that higher low 4 is not claimed. That's, you know, that's your risk management zone. And if you want a better entry point, then the session VWAP would be your option here for that entry scalp. Just for anybody that is bored and maybe wants to look for a long, then that would be my best long that I could give right now locally. Much love, legends. Thank you very much. Oil might flow again through the straight through the next days. You know what? I've got actually a container full of furniture, TV, and lots of stuff that is stuck in Dubai. So if the strait is open, I'm going to start calling my location company to say, hey, is the container going to leave Dubai and the Strait of Hormuz, or is it still going to be there for a few more weeks or months, right? Who knows? But yeah, that's I was lucky to get out and, you know, sold a few things there. The only thing is that I have a container full of stuff that obviously hasn't been shipped because of that, but it doesn't matter. The material things, there's a lot more people that are not having a great time because of this, so I'm actually okay. Material things are not important. Right, let's go through comment section. Suzanne, Alex, Anthony, let's go. Distance music. Shorting anything above 72k. Anthony, 76k would be a blessing to short. I haven't got a plan all the way up there. Not for the moment, at least, right? That's too far away. We ain't going to talk about anything up there as of yet. We might inside of a trading community, depending on how we move. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining today's stream. Hope you enjoyed. In the long, in the short, in a swing short, we always try and give, you know, provide new possible setups that we could be looking for between today and tomorrow. And that was a little bit it, okay? The main long trade that was explained on Friday did come to fruition with Monday's price action, right? Which is something similar that happened a couple of weeks ago, guys, right? Who remembers from the previous streams that we also had a very, very similar explanation here, where we dumped on Friday, weekend coming down, Sunday, Monday pump. You know, same thing here. Not exactly the same, but overall coming down into, you know, Sunday, Saturday rangy, and Sunday down, and getting this little pump, of course, on Monday. Legends, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for smashing up the like button. What about your dogs? My dogs are fine. They're not in the container. They came on the same flight as me. So yeah, the dogs were with me. Okay. Are they back with you? Yes, I haven't abandoned my dogs. My dogs are my life. They're my children, hairy children. If the dogs couldn't leave, I was not leaving. The same when I moved to Dubai a few years ago. If the dogs can't come, I ain't going there. So I treat them like children. I'm that kind of guy that loves animals, loves dogs, and they have priority. They have priority over me. Imagine that. Happy to hear that. Alex, thank you very much. Much love, Mr. Andy, says A Trader. Great stream. RVM3, thank you. Schlong. Exactly. We schlong with good risk management. Much love, Alex. Thank you very much, Chichan. Talking about the situation here. Guys, you've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much for joining the stream. Suzanne, Distance Music, Kryptoni. Much love, okay, guys? Stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow on YouTube. If not, I'll see you tomorrow morning inside of the trading community. You know what to do, guys. If you haven't joined already, it's super easy to join. I'm not sure what you're waiting for. First link, send me a DM. We'll jump you in the trading community for a few months for free. If you sign up throughout one of the affiliates, guys, super easy to join. Thank you, legends. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you tomorrow.